Welcome to Feral Friday Podcast, Unhinged and Unbothered, a podcast where we talk about smut, monsters, fanfic, and everything in between. Listener discretion is advised. Please see the episode description for additional details.
His bear growled from within him, a deep rumble of need and impatience. She gasped, going still. Damn it. He pulled back, cursing himself. For Sarah's sake, he had to keep his inner beast in check. Let me, she said, her voice husky. The dark look that glimmered in her eyes set his blood on fire. He stepped back and watched as she slowly peeled off her clothes. He drank in the sight of her curves, her smooth skin, the way her body moved as she uncovered more and more of herself. An eternity later, Sarah reclined languidly in a pink bra and panties, her eyes smoldering. His gaze traveled across her body, moving from her mouth to her neck, along her collarbone, and down to those round, perfect breasts, and then finally lower, lingering on her hips and thighs before coming back to Sarah's eyes. He wanted to consume every inch of her, wanted to feel her arch beneath his touch, wanted to feel her softness in every possible way. Take it all off. His voice was half growl. A sly smile curved across Sarah's mouth. Her eyes didn't leave his as she unclasped her bra and let it fall, letting her breasts spill out. He groaned at the sight of her, feeling his desire surge. Sarah slowly slid her panties down her legs, revealing herself fully to him. Jesus, he whispered. His breath came faster and faster, his bear rumbling in anticipation. He couldn't take it any longer. He pounced on her, his mouth finding hers. His lips were urgent, eager, and Sarah returned his intensity with equal fervor. He groaned as Sarah pulled him down on top of her. He kissed her even harder, breathing her in, moaning as he rubbed himself against her. His hands explored her curves. His mouth eagerly tasted her. It was like every part of his being was focused on Sarah, like he'd been waiting for this moment forever. He wanted nothing more than to take her now, to push into her and make her his forever. But he held back. He wanted to draw out the pleasure, to savor every second. And above all, he wanted to make Sarah feel so good that nothing else could compare. His mouth trailed a hot line down Sarah's body, taking her nipple in his mouth. Sarah moaned, her hips rising to meet his. He kept moving downward, nipping at her soft skin, and as he kissed her belly button, Sarah's legs parted obligingly. She already knew what was on his mind. He kneeled in front of her, like a subject worshipping a queen, and breathed the deep descent of her arousal. Sarah smelled so mouth-watering he couldn't think straight. He ran his tongue along her inner thigh, slowly, teasingly, and grinned as Sarah quivered beneath him. Jesus, he said, his lips brushing against her soft wetness. No one should taste this good. Logan, her tone was insistent, aching. I need you. I know, honey. I know. And that was an excerpt from The Bookworm and the Bear, a small-town, fated mates shifter romance by Violet Dawson.
All right, which one of you was it? Which Sarah was it?
Sarah.
I have a feeling I know what this was picked.
I mean, I'm not into bears, so it wasn't me. Although we do have lots of bears in my area.
You know what's funny? Sarah, you're the one that posted this as an option for our shifter.
I told you. I do
goodness.
no investigation except for going to Amazon and being like, bear smut.
Bear smut.
Click, 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 click.
Like,
Werewolf smut. Click, 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 click.
Just what we love.
I look
This
at the
one
covers. I
delivered.
look at the title.
This one had all of your typical tropes. We had I guess you could call it a third act breakup. They weren't even technically together yet, but they had already done the deed. And then he like rejected her kind of, but then like it was less than 24 hours later that they got back together, or actually got together. So I was like, I guess that qualifies. Sort of.
Perhaps.
And then of course the end was like, I'm pregnant. I'm like, really? So, but the whole snowed in, falling in love over spaghetti.
Oh
Spaghetti.
wait,
Spaghetti.
wait,
yeah,
was that
spaghetti.
wait, was that the snowed in with the dragon? Oh no, it was a bear. Never mind.
Yeah.
Ignore
No, I
me.
did love Snowed In with the Dragon.
No.
I love that one. When did
Yes,
we read that?
ignore me.
When did I read that?
Over
I think-
Christmas.
Yeah,
It's a
I enjoyed that
Christmassy-
one.
Yeah, that was cute.
So, no, it was very quick, like under 100 pages. I mean, the smut was fine. It was very tame. It was, oral, P and
Meh.
V. Bada bing, bada boom. They're in love.
Bada bing, bada boom.
She was a librarian. He was a bear.
He was a punk. She did
Yeah,
bad.
oh my
Just
god,
gonna
you
do
read
it.
my
Nice.
I was about to do the exact same.
Same.
I was like, as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, that sounds like a song.
Did you know that Avril Lavigne is currently on tour and I'm just
Yes.
dying that I'm
Yes.
not going to any of her concerts? I'm like
Yes.
gonna just die, literally fall over
Well,
dead.
Maybe you should buy a ticket. I don't know.
Well,
then don't
she-
die.
She was going to Portland, but I don't think it worked out timing wise for me. I was really sad.
I want you to live your dreams, just like I'm living
Thank
my Limp
you.
Bizkit dreams. I want you to live your Avril Lavigne dreams.
Okay, well, I'll try. I'll look again at her schedule and see what's up. Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, that was quite the tangent. But Sarah, too, why don't we get right into it? What are you currently reading?
Okay, so I finished it today. I'm going to talk about this in depth later, so I'm going to keep this short. But The Alpha of Bleake Isle by Kathryn Moon. Just finished it today. Like, it had me in a chokehold since last Monday, like all week. I was like, I'm going to read 2 books at once. No. Like, did not, could not, was just sucked in and so good. But I will dive in on that later.
Perfect.
Because it's about dragons. Ivy, what are you reading?
Well, I am about to start Hooked by Emily McIntyre.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit behind this month.
It's alright.
Yeah, I have no one to blame but myself. It's fine. So I'm about to start this book for our other book club, and I'm excited and a little nervous. Mostly excited.
It's a good one.
Sarah, what are you reading?
Well, before that, did you ever finish the one that you were starting like 2 weeks ago? I forget what it was called.
The Mermaids.
Yeah, I didn't even start it, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I had I had the best intentions too. I
You know,
thought it was
sometimes that
probably
happens.
still will.
I feel that in my soul.
Oh, don't
I have
look
like
me.
I have 3 of those books sitting in my Kindle right now that I have not started. But I am currently reading Rare Prey by Torah Channing. And it is an alien abduction kind of fated mates situation.
Love that.
I'm like 20% in and I am hooked. I needed to read it because I'm getting the arc for the second book in the series. And I think it's coming in like the next week. And I was like, oh crap, I need to make sure to read that. So I know what's going on. But I was like hooked immediately. And they're different kinds of aliens that I've ever heard, but they're like winged. Like they call them the avians. So they're like bird-like.
Cool.
Interesting.
Ruby has
Oh, you
bird
shared
like
a snippet.
aliens.
But their faces aren't bird. Like they're humanoid.
Mm.
Except for the bird, like the wings, and then I guess like their feet are bird-like, but like the rest of them are humanoid, and they have very interesting dong features.
Good. Yes.
You just made me
Finally.
think of Howl's Moving Castle
Yeah, I was thinking the same
Oh.
thing.
Yes, yes, yes.
when
yes,
he like
yes.
transforms.
Yes.
Also, Kitty's
Exactly.
comment Ruby's like, you get an alien. You get an alien.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody gets an
Ruby does have a
alien.
word alien.
What flavor alien do you want? Ruby's got it.
I got you.
We love Ruby.
Yes. So, and then Marie, what are you reading?
I finished at like 2:45 in the morning last night.
Gosh.
Forged by Malice by Elizabeth Helen. That is the third book of the Beasts of the Briar series. The fourth one comes out in September. I am now suffering with the cliffhanger that I was left on. But it is so good. In my opinion, at least, I really like it. It's a Beauty and the Beast kind of like reverse harem. So we do get the princes falling for the girl. And yeah, now I have to fucking wait. So Elizabeth and Helen, because I know you are a sister duo that writes together.
Ooh.
Fun fact.
I beg you
I was
to
just gonna
please speed
say.
it up.
I discovered that the last time I was doing the graphics for the book stories, that Elizabeth Helen, because it's like two first names, and my grandma always used to make fun of people with two first names. But it's like, it's sisters,
Two
that write
sisters.
together.
Yes.
Elizabeth and
That's
Helen.
So it's crazy because last week I started the first one, and within a week I've read all three.
I love that for you, Marie.
So yeah, I have not. My head has just been in Castle Tree.
Yep.
Love
And
it.
I love it.
Love it. Love it.
How about you, Kitty? What are you currently reading?
Girl
Yeah.
I mean, technically, yes. I am going to finish it. I think I read one page of it this week.
Yay! It's
One page.
improvement.
So that's good.
Celebration for that.
I did do some Dracula reading today via audiobook, which was very entertaining. I'm really enjoying that. So
Awesome.
otherwise the reading is still no going. It's not going anywhere. We're just still on this, train
It's all
car
right.
that's stuck. So that's good. But
It's all right.
yeah.
You did a little bit of Dracula, and that's okay.
And that's okay. That's perfect. That's all I need.
It's fine.
Yeah, so there we go. This week we have some exciting things to talk about. We're talking about dragons and shifters, vampires, and other miscellaneous monsters. I'm so
Oh,
excited.
I had to explain this to my husband because he's like, "What are you guys talking about tonight?" And I was like, "Dragons." And he's like, "All right, like what?" And I was like, "Well," he's like, "How is that smut?" And I was like, "Well, sometimes they're
it's
men and sometimes they're dragons." And he's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Because it's fantasy world." And he's just like, "All right."
Okay, if he has a problem with the dragons, did you ever tell him about Clippy or the pillow or the door?
No. I think I did tell him about Clippy actually, and he was like,
Okay.
"Oh, you're
Does
kind
he
of
know
psychotic."
about the mummy?
No.
Oh, God. We
That was
could talk about the
good.
mummy today. The mummy was...
But do we want to?
No, not really.
No.
It was a terrible
Please no.
45
Oh
minutes of my
God.
life. I don't need to relive that.
Ted was going to try and watch TV like 10 feet away from where I'm recording. And he's like, "I'm going to keep my AirPods in and just watch." And I was like, "You don't even want to overhear accidentally anything that I talk about tonight." He was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." He's like, "I don't want to be the guy where they're like, what's wrong with Ted and why does he have that look on his face permanently?" He was like, editing one episode was enough to like just traumatize me for the rest of my life.
We didn't
He's
even
like,
get...
I cannot do this again.
No.
That wasn't even... That was pretty tame for us, episode
That was the
one.
first one. That was
Yeah.
That was Bigfoot.
like, episode.
That was
yeah.
Bigfoot blowjob, and it was
okay.
just too much.
Oh.
Was that
To
the
be
jeans one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
We did
watched-
start off with a bang.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
We
did
did.
watch a Sasquatch movie the other night, and there was just like Sasquatch being hanging out the whole time, and it was not a foot big at all. But he was like annoyed by it. He was like, "It's just hanging out," and I was like, That's like really similar to a lot of penises that we read about.
Yeah.
I didn't say that part out loud, but I was like, yeah, it's monster
You
penis.
should have.
I mean, though,
You know.
let's be real. It's Bigfoot. That's probably what would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It was just hanging
Right.
brain.
Yeah.
Like, it just
He doesn't wear
happens.
pants.
No
Yeah.
pants.
exactly.
It's all furry. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was just really
Tracks.
funny. He was like, oh. And I was like, what? I wasn't turned on by it, but I was like, yeah, it's Sasquatch.
Like when you go to an art museum.
Right.
It's a dick.
That's
It
what
does
it looks like.
something.
Honestly, I'm so sick of talking about penises after potty training my almost 3-year-old homie.
Oh. Yeah.
Like,
Quick,
You are
talk
a
about
trooper.
sapphic romance real quick.
like 17 times a day. Like, pee comes out of my penis. Yes, buddy. Yes. Yes. Pee comes out of my penis. What color is my pee? And I'm like, dude, like, you're killing me. Actually killing me.
Where's Johnny at during all this? Shouldn't he be taking the reins here?
I always said he was going to be the one to, like, drive the bus on potty training because
Mhm.
you got the parts, you do it, but lo and behold, it's me.
Poor
doing
mommy.
all the potty training.
Good times.
You're doing great.
Not all.
Hopefully
Johnny
he
helped
can do
out.
the other talks and the other training
Oh,
when it comes to
Yeah.
those parts.
and things that I never thought I'd hear from my almost 3-year-old was, I want to see your vulva.
Nope.
And
Nope.
I was like,
I'm sorry. We can't
No, bud.
do that.
no,
Oh,
bud.
Lord.
Not how this
We're-
works. Thanks though.
We're gonna
We
leave
can
that
show you-
alone.
We can show you a
That's-
scientific diagram.
Yeah, like,
That is-
in a
we're
few
gonna.
years.
That is illegal in most states,
Right.
son.
It's like, okay, bud, we're gonna move on.
Mm,
And also,
Look at-
don't say that to anybody else ever.
right.
Look at this cool construction toy. Isn't this fun?
But thank you
Basically.
for using the correct terminology.
You gotta teach
Oh,
him.
yeah.
You gotta teach him. So that's been my life. So let's talk about some dragon penis. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Dragons.
Well, let's just call it cock from now on. That way you're not
Right.
talking, it's just total separation.
Total
There we
separation.
go.
I like it.
Disassociating
I like
from real life.
it. Yes.
We're now
like
in
it.
dragon cock territory.
Although, now that I
We're all
say
better
that,
for it.
yeah, the book that I read didn't really talk about his cock at all.
What?
Really?
No
How?
reference to it?
How'd we get
Like-
around that?
Like, it wasn't, unless I just glossed right over it, like, there wasn't, like, the description in depth about it, nothing, like, funny about it.
Hmm.
I'm
Did
just
he have
realizing that
just
now.
a regular human cock?
I don't know.
And he
I guess I just
happened to
assumed
shift
that.
into a dragon?
It's up
Yes,
to your
like he was a
imagination.
dude. I don't have one.
See,
But
the
yeah,
one
I
that
guess
I
so.
read about was like it's just a shifter that turns into a dragon. But
Right.
holy fuck, they're human.
Right.
It's big,
Same.
but
Kitty,
Has
do you remember?
scales.
Kitty, do you remember from Consort of Fire if there was
Yeah.
anything special about the dragon?
I don't think so. Also,
Was it just
that
size?
that book was so spicy, but we didn't get P in V until close to the end.
That's true.
It was just all other things, which I'm not complaining about. But I
It
don't
was really good. It was
remember.
very sapphic.
It
focused
was so good. That book. Oh my god.
and lots of edging.
Consort of Fire
Ooh.
by Kit Rocha.
Very
And-
good.
It is on Kindle Unlimited, and if you borrow it in Kindle Unlimited, just for normal, it should also show up in your Audible, and the
Mhm.
audio is.
I
so
gotta start
good.
listening.
Listen while you are driving.
I mean, I did. It was fine, Sarah.
I almost drove off the road like 3 times. It was so good.
oh my goodness,
I need to start listening. I've never listened, and I
Yeah.
feel like I need to start doing that.
it's so
It
wild.
helps. To me, it helps sometimes, especially with the imagination part, because it's like activating a different part of your brain.
Right.
And so, like, you're hearing words differently, and there's a scene, and they're in, like, a hot spring, I think.
Yeah.
And that was one that I was listening to in the car, and I almost literally just had to pull over just so I could just, like, just be in the moment, because it was just so fucking hot, and I was just like, this is so good. Like,
I'm thinking
so,
of
so
that
good.
short story we read where, like, she's walking home and just has to, like, stop on the side of the road to
Oh
bail
my
herself.
god, the leprechaun one.
Yes, the leprechaun.
Oh my
I wasn't
god.
gonna do that, but it was just like, I am not focused on my driving right now. I am very focused on the words coming out of this person's mouth in my speaker.
We're bringing up all of Kitty's favorite episodes tonight.
We are.
I know. We really
It's Kitty's
are.
trauma
Yes.
episode.
Your
But-
card declines of
It's
therapy. They're
fine.
gonna play you all the
It's
episodes you're hating.
fine.
But
It's
dragon
fine.
shifters in general are something I think wouldn't necessarily say I had avoided, but I was like, oh, that sounds weird. Like reptiles? No, thank you.
Yeah.
But as I
agreed.
started reading them, I'm like,
Oh.
I think I like that.
Okay,
So-
I never think of dragons as reptiles. They're just dragons
Interesting.
in my brain.
They're like a separate.
They're just their
entity.
own thing, like unicorns.
They're
I
not
don't
horses.
know.
Interesting.
They're
But
just
they have
their own.
scales. They're cold-blooded.
I don't like thinking about this. No.
Interesting.
No.
But as with all shifter romance, you can't really think too much about it, because then you start to think about it's an animal. Some
Yeah.
point, because then you start to
Yeah.
like blur those lines. So it's like, yeah, don't think so hard about it. Nope.
No.
That's why with like dragons, I don't have that much of an issue. This series that I'm gonna talk about is actually was my intro into
Which one was
Ooh.
it?
smutts like this. It's called The Fallen Immortals. The author is Alyssa Woods. It is wild. It's 3 brothers that are like the princes of the House of Smoke, and they have to procreate so that they do not become wyverns, however we want to say it.
Ooh.
But it's crazy because it's very pregnancy trope, clearly. Like, they gotta get the chick pregnant, but then for the baby to survive, they must fuck the entire time.
No.
Interesting.
Like,
Wait.
they
Like
must
during
fuck
labor?
like not during labor, but like while she's like,
Like pregnant.
yeah, like while she's pregnant,
Like every
She
day
must-
or like every moment?
multiple times a day, so that
Oh.
she can like feel her like mate's love, and the baby can continue growing within that love.
Because we all know that's how love happens.
It's
Right.
it's hilarious because for me it's like what I'm taking away from this is you need the constant sperm there.
That's where I was
to
going.
continue.
Right.
the baby
Weird.
just keeps getting more powerful.
Yeah. Okay,
Basically.
question.
Super baby.
Are the babies born human or are they born wyverns?
They are born like it depends.
It's not an
It
egg.
depends.
It depends. So it's very difficult for like the female to survive the birth, which is
Always.
why we come up with Lucian, who is about to hit the 500-year mark. He doesn't want to go through that because his first love dies.
Of course.
And then he meets Arabella, and then she wants to save him, and
I can save him.
I can save him.
But
It's
Daddy,
very
listen.
But since dragons are fictional for the most part, like mythological creatures, I feel like it's
Yeah.
not that bad.
No.
Whereas bears, I can't encounter them here in South Florida, but they can be encountered in other places.
They
Oh, I see him all the
can't.
time.
You should have an alligator one, Marie.
No.
Oh,
Absolutely not.
That's close enough to a dragon.
Run by
No.
you.
No. Absolutely
Slap
Wait,
not.
some
now I need to
wings
know.
on-
Fired.
Slap some
Fired.
wings on that alligator, you guys do a dragon.
No.
I'm sure it exists
do
out there.
not
I'm sure if I
approve.
search
Of course
for
it does. I'm gonna look for it.
You know, it takes place not in Florida though, but probably like Arkansas.
I would say Louisiana.
Oh my god.
I don't know where alligators are.
I can't.
Swamps.
Swamps.
We have. Are there swamps in
back
Arkansas?
country.
I don't know about Arkansas, but definitely Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Arkansas too
Yeah.
landlocked?
Yeah.
Probably.
There's an ocean
Yeah.
there. I don't know. They probably go in the
What?
ocean. Isn't
Well, next
Arkansas
to
have an
Arkansas.
ocean?
No.
I don't know where it is.
It's just north of Louisiana and east of Oklahoma.
Isn't it on the river though? On the Mississippi?
Well, it's on the Mississippi, but
Okay,
that,
thank
That's
you.
not an ocean.
I was
on the
gonna mix up
ocean.
with Alabama.
We're so good at geography.
So good.
I
A++.
mean, don't ask me about the
we're
Northeast.
gonna get
but
sponsored by all of the tourism boards.
especially Cincinnati, though.
Sarah,
Must
too,
love
what did you find?
alligators. Must love alligators. Boys in
No.
the Bayou, Book 5. A small town nerd heroine rom-com.
Sounds perfect.
Perfect.
Now,
There's
Do I
7
have to
books.
read that?
you.
There's 7. Oh, Abigail and the Alligator, the
7.
alphabet series.
I like the alliteration.
And
You-
Amant for the Alligator. Shifter's Regime, book 14.
What's the problem with alligators, Kitty?
I don't know, but I have a big problem with them. I don't like them. I think
Hot-blooded alligator,
Okay.
a paranormal's love, book 11.
when I was in Australia, I went to this like what did they call it? It's like essentially like a zoo, but in Australia they call it something else. And there was a crocodile, like a crocodile that was alive, and they like fed the crocodile, and it was kind of like a show, and it was so aggressive, and it, I'm just a sensitive little cancer.
Was it run by the
And-
Irwins?
No, it wasn't, but it was like something that they would run. And it was just like too much for me. It was like the vibes
Well,
were not good. It was
They have Gator World in
aggressive.
Florida.
I thought I was just gonna die, and I don't like feeling that way. So
I'm sorry.
I know, me
Didn't mean to
too.
bring up your trauma.
It's okay.
Crocodile
no.
Dandy.
I was perfectly safe. I'm just a little crybaby. Is really what the problem
Well,
is.
If you ever come here to South Florida,
Oh,
just be
God.
aware. If there is
They're
water, there's
everywhere.
about 95% chance that there is a gator in it
See,
at
and
all
that-
times. And
that
then, but
just-
they won't do anything unless you fuck with them, for the most part.
Well, I'm not.
And
doing that.
because they are cold-blooded, it actually requires a lot of effort and energy for them to like snap and do anything. So they
Mm.
really only reserve it for like defense or food.
Oh.
You can walk by them and they don't give a fuck.
As long as you don't look like a good tasty meal.
Well,
But
Don't
you know,
look like a
keep your
snack, kitty.
distance.
I won't look like
Also,
a
don't
snack.
feed the gators. The
Well,
gators eat people.
Why would someone feed one in the wild?
Have you seen humans?
Have you heard of
Yeah.
Florida Man?
Yeah. I
Have you heard of the white ladies who will,
I know.
feed whatever because it's fluffy?
There's a
I
Not
guy.
that crocodiles are fluffy, but
They're something.
I've had people call my job and be like, "Can we go swim with the gators?" And I'm like, "Do you have a death wish? Like, why would you
that's
want
a
to do
bad
that?"
idea.
Gator
No.
dolphin. Gator dolphin.
No.
Gator dolphin. I'm sorry.
Gator.
What? No, Ivy. Bad Ivy. Bad.
I think Ivy should read the Gator Smut book and
I
let us
will
know how it goes.
I know that
I
said
just found a
last
bunch.
time- I know that I said last time I was going to read the book and I didn't read the book. I will read the book.
You know I'll
Okay.
read the book.
Oh my gosh, gators. Let's see, other dragons. I have one on my list, which I talked briefly about last week, Spitfire by Maya Kern. Oh my god. It's like dark academia,
Ooh.
dragon shifter. The dragon shifter has a really interesting like journey with gender and what like figuring out who they are, because they can't, it's not just that they shift from dragon to human and back, like they can shift pretty much into anything they want, like they can look however they want, but it's like, oh, it's so interesting. I really love it, and it's like a very like dark academia book in that there is a lot of like the main princess is like super interested in magic, and she's like always doing research, and so a lot of it is like following her in her research, and then following the dragon. And the dragon is they're very jealous of a lot of things, and the dragon is like the prince's bodyguard. So there's like this love triangle. It's a love triangle slash polyamory, like but it's hard to explain because I wouldn't normally say that, but in this specific instance, that does kind of fall into that. For very spoilery things, but it's like so good. It has so many trigger warnings. Please look at the trigger warnings before you try to read this book, but they are in the front of the book. Oh my god, it's so good. It does kind of end on a cliffhanger in the second book. I'm not sure when it's coming out. It started originally as it was written and published on AO3, and then Maya pulled it from AO3, just did KU, and then she got a publishing deal. So
nice. That's
really
awesome.
cool. We love that journey for her. She also sells skirts. I have I call it my Miss Frizzle skirt.
Oh,
She's
amazing.
also like into like that kind of stuff. So anyway, the book is really good. It's very, very hot, and yeah. Read the trigger warnings. I don't know what the fandom was originally. I don't know if it was just like original fiction that she was just putting on AO3, or if it was actually fanfic. I'm not sure.
That's really cool though. Good for her. Or them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I love it so much. And I really love the non-binary kind of representation, and like just the journey of gender. It's just done, I think, really well in that book. And yeah, there we go. Dragon shifter.
I love the idea of like the dragon shifter being like a bodyguard.
Yeah.
For the prince. Like, I think that's a really interesting dynamic. I really love that. That's actually sounds really interesting.
And it's like it really digs into like everybody's emotions and like what everybody's thinking, because it's kind of like the prince like has to get married, but the dragon is in love with the prince, and like it's a really interesting study into like emotions and jealousy and like working through that. And I don't know, I just absolutely loved it. This is a smut book? Yeah, there's also smut in it. Yeah.
Wow, this sounds it sounds very cerebral for us.
It's yes, and it is long. It is it's a big book, but there is smut in it, and it's not like all smut. It's like definitely heavy on like the dark academia and like that kind of stuff. But I don't know, I loved it so much.
I'm gonna check that out. Thank you, Kitty.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So then everybody would probably love the book that I just read. Because similar, it's Kathryn Moon. We all stand Kathryn Moon.
Kathryn.
And it was similar where like there was a lot of it was a very like feminist plot line, which was awesome. But a lot of plot, a ton of plot, and a ton of sex. But it wasn't like your quote unquote typical Kathryn Moon where it was just sex, plot, sex. It wasn't that.
Yeah.
But the plot was really good. But so it's an Omegaverse, and there is the Alpha. So I don't know. There's an island, and there is the Alpha, who's a dragon shifter, and so it's like Alphas are the rulers of the islands, the various islands in this kingdom, I guess we'll call it. And there's the Betas, who are also dragon shifters. And then there's Omegas, and the Omegas are not shifters. And typically the Betas and the Omegas pair up, and the Alpha gets like a choice of his Omega. And the story with this Alpha is he's like the dark brooding guy, and they have a rut it's either every 10 years. And during the rut is when the Alpha can produce a male heir. So it's this whole thing that every 10 years he's supposed to go down and like find an omega, but he has kind of been like not interested and he doesn't choose an omega. So for like 50 years he hasn't chosen an omega. And then this year he chooses an omega. And she's like, all the townspeople call her Mouse as her nickname because they're mean to her. And they're using Mouse as like, you know, she's timid, she's quiet, she's plain. And I actually related to her a lot. Like, it was kind of crazy watching her journey because it's like a journey of self-love because she has so much self-doubt from everybody calling her Mouse and treating her like this her entire life. She's also an older omega. Like, she's 26, which, you know, that's so old. But she's an older omega. At 26, you know, her offspring years are coming to a close soon. But she's been told, like, by everybody about how much she sucks her whole life, that when the alpha, who's, you know, Hottie McHottie, chooses her, she doubts everything. Like, the whole time, she's like, oh, it's a joke. Oh, he's gonna leave me. Oh, you know, this isn't real. And I was just like, wow, I really relate to this. And I was supposed to talk about this in therapy. And I never did because my therapist was for cancer. But I was like, it was, I don't know, late last night that I was just like, whoa, like, this is why I like this book so much. But she like comes into her own. She becomes this badass bitch. They become mates. Which is this whole thing, like, mates kind of went away. She becomes a dragon shifter. Spoiler alert. It's so good. It's so good. And I think it's a series. I think this is the first of a series.
That sounds amazing.
Amazing. It was so good.
There need to be more Omegaverse shifter books. That's one thing that, like, I really want more. I have one to talk about in a minute. But does anyone else have any other dragons? Because otherwise I have one more dragon series to talk about.
I have one that's kind of dragon, and it has been a hot minute since I read it. But it's called A Heart of Blood and Ashes. And it's a Gathering of Dragons, book 1. It's by Milla Vane. It was pretty good. So like, you have this like very like Game of Thrones-esque situation going on with like different you know, cultures battling each other, so lots of battles going on. There are different creatures. There's definitely like some dragon-ish thing is going on with like the male main character, and they are fighting against an enemy that is using like death magic to raise a zombie army. So very like Night King-esque.
Okay.
But the female main character has been abused by her family her whole life, so she is actually like missing some fingers. She has like a bum knee, so she like has some like physical ailments, and she's been sold off to the male main character as kind of like a slave. So there's that whole like dynamic, and then they kind of like enemies to lovers, and then she becomes queen and all this. So I really liked it. It's got mixed reviews on Storygraph. People either love it or they hate it. There's like lots of different characters to get to know, and the main male, the MMC, like definitely like fucks up at some point, and I can't remember if he like rejects her or gives her up, but he has to like make it up to her and kind of do some groveling and stuff. So, but I don't mind a man who has to grovel. So, but it's kind of cool that there's some representation of a woman who has, you know, experience. She's older, you know, like the old spinster kind of situation, but
so
dealing
she's 26
with some disabilities that were kind of foisted upon her by, you know, treatment of others, but then they also don't deter her from being a badass. So yeah, so I did enjoy that one. So, and I'm definitely looking forward to the Bleake Isle one. And meant to like read it already, but I've just like my TBR is out of absolute control.
Woo! I love an out of control TBR.
Kitty, what you got?
Okay, so
Yes.
I would be remiss. I would
Do
be
you?
remiss if I didn't talk about Zodiac Academy on the Shifter episode. Zodiac Academy. I have not actually finished this series. I've gotten like partway through book 8, and then I was like, I need to wait for the last one to come out because I'm not going to be able to take the emotional wreckage. These books, I know we've talked about them briefly before. They are considered bully romance. You have to talk about it when you talk about shifters because it's all about shifters, and it is bully romance, so it's toxic as fuck. Like, these books are not for the faint of heart. Let me tell you, if you do not want to read bullying and like
verbal or physical?
both.
Okay.
Oh.
Especially in like the
Okay.
first couple books, and then we kind of get like, then like everybody kind of teams up a little bit, but like the main antagonist is terrible. And these books, like, if you want an emotional roller coaster, these are the books for you. They will take you on the emotional roller coaster of a lifetime. I sobbed at like the end of books 4, 5, and 6. Like, just sobbed. Ridiculous. The writing in the first book is terrible, just so you know. They're all on KU, but the writing of the first book, I swear to God, it's written by a pair of sisters. I swear to God, they wrote the book and then never looked at it again and just put it on KU. Like, that's what it feels like. And so just know going into it, it does get better. It gets better. But the first book is hard to read. Also, the authors are British, and they wrote the main characters as being from Chicago. But then they like didn't do any research about America at all. Not even Chicago,
Seems
just
accurate.
America. Like, just like how they were talking about things, I was like, what? These girls are from where?
Can we just these two British people wrote
Yeah.
this book and they're like, where should our villain come from? Chicago.
No, that's where the main characters come from. Is Chicago. But then they like
Oh,
go to a
God.
different world and it's fine. But like,
Why
I
Chicago?
have no idea.
They really like the musical.
Apparently, something. So
It's right in the
Orchestra.
middle.
it's right in the middle. Yeah. So Zodiac Academy, because it has dragon shifters, Pegasus shifters, Phoenix shifters. Like, it has like all sorts of every mythological creature that's a shifter that you could possibly want. There's a Hydra, there's werewolves, there's everything. And also, it is very sex heavy once you get past like the first, like once the main characters get together. So it does take a couple books. But
Okay,
Yeah.
that was my question because I'd heard that it's
Yeah.
not necessarily small.
oh god, well, the first couple books, no,
But-
because everybody
Okay.
hates each other. But once they get past that and people start to like fall in love, then there is some hate fucking that goes on, which is great.
What the best relationships are built on.
Seriously. But these books, like, I am just telling you, they like, this is like Ivy for perspective. This is like oh shit, what's the one by Emerald Slytherin? Why can't I? Secrets and Masks. Like, this is like Secrets and Masks, like depth, like not exactly the same, but like that's like what we're, the emotional, it like tears you up, like, and the bad guy is so bad, like he's a fucking dick.
Not gonna lie, earlier when you said the main villain is
Yeah.
horrible, I thought because it's called Zodiac Academy, my brain auto completed your sentence, and my brain said the main villain, he's awful. He's a Scorpio.
I don't actually. Oh, I don't think he is. I'm trying to think because they do, a lot with like
I would have said
magic
Capricorn.
in. Oh, I can't remember. It's because it's been like a year and a half since I was reading book 8 because I was waiting for the last book to come out because one of my other friends read book 8 and then she was like, "Oh shit, it ends on a really big cliffhanger. You should just wait for the next one." So I was like, "Thank you for."
That is a good friend.
Seriously,
For you.
shout out to
It is.
Sammy. Thank you, Sammy. So yeah. Anyway, Zodiac Academy. It is a hot mess. I don't really recommend it for the great writing, but it's a journey. And you know me, I like to be emotionally
journey.
just pulverized by books.
Who
I love
loves
the
the
journey. I want to cry.
But for
Yeah.
for such a sensitive soul, I'm surprised you like the bully.
Okay, I didn't think I was going
aspect.
to. I only read it because Sammy and Kay and I were like, we've heard about this. We should read it together. So we were reading it together, which is like a whole different. You guys know, it's so different when you read books together with friends, and then you just like can
Yes.
talk about it all.
So you'll read a bully romance, but you won't read a mafia
God, no,
romance.
because again, this is like a fantasy setting. I think the problem with Mafia is like I don't like contemporary stuff because I don't want to end the guns. That's also the big problem is the guns.
Yeah.
I just can't.
So we need like a Harry Potter mafia then. Just
Sure.
wands instead of guns.
Sure. That's just fine.
Yeah.
Zodiac
Zodiac
Academy.
Yeah. Yeah. So that goes into, like our werewolves and everything else that we want to talk about. Yeah.
Yes. And that one's so hard almost to get started on because you're like, where do you even start? Because it's such.
Oh, I know.
Like werewolf shifters are. It's like a tale as old as time.
A dime a dozen.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I have a really good one though.
All right,
Really
start
good
us off.
one. It's called A Wolf in the Garden by Allegra Hall. And
I like Allegra
yes,
Hall.
and this one came out earlier this year. I think like in January or February. The cover is really pretty. So it's about this guy who is a wolf shifter, but he's also a werewolf. So his parents, one was a werewolf, the other was a wolf shifter. So he can like shift into a normal wolf any day of the year, but he shifts into a werewolf on the full moon. And it's kind of like this interesting world where like people didn't know about magic or mythical creatures until some big event happened, and then like the worlds kind of like crashed into each other, and now people have known about magic and shifters for like a few years. And so our main character, she grew up with this guy, never knew he was a wolf/werewolf. And it's really interesting. And so Allegra Hall is Maori, so she's from New Zealand, and she's an indigenous New Zealander, a Maori person.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so she writes also like she encompasses a lot of Maori culture, into the book, and like from the female main character, it's done so well. It's so interesting. She like mixes a lot of like her personal experience with being Maori into the book, and it's just so good. Loved it. Highly recommend. Please read it.
What's it called again?
Wolf in the Garden. In the Garden.
Okay.
That does sound really cool.
It's really good.
That.
Yeah.
Sold.
I feel like I read something else by Allegra Hall.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have too. I just don't know what.
No, I'm looking in my story graph because I'm like, what was it? But I might be getting them mixed up with Sam Hall, but I feel like I know I read something.
Yeah.
I read a wolf shifter a while ago.
Yeah.
Oh god, I have no idea what it was called or who it was by.
That's not helpful, Sarah.
Or what it was about.
I don't remember anything about it other than it was a book. Thank you. you.
I remember no details except sometimes he was a wolf.
You know,
We all have two wolves inside of
right?
us.
Okay, I have another series. This one was Omegaverse, and it was one of the first Omegaverse series that I read. And it's Omegaverse Shifters. And this one was interesting because well, the series is called Her Shifter Harem's Babies. So right off the bat, we should note that they're babies. But the writing was okay. It wasn't great, but it's by Layla Hart. And I think that the funniest thing about it was like so like the Omega is like kind of on the run, and she's this like very because they're shifters, so she is like a really special shifter, right? Like there aren't many of her kind left, and so like all this stuff happens. She's basically like on them, like her parents are like trying to like make money from her, like to sell her like to the highest bidder essentially. It's really terrible. So but she like ends up like falling in love with these guys and they're like on the run from her parents, and they finally decide that they like are all in love. They're gonna like mate the whole 9 yards. And when they actually like end up like all becoming mates, there's 4 guys and 1 girl, right? So like obviously it is how it happens. And they're all different, like they all shift into different things. Like there's a wolf, there's a hydra, there's a bear, and I don't remember what the other guy was. So they all like have to not inside of her, right, in order to like complete the
At the same time?
like one at a
Same
time.
time.
Oh
and
my
like
God.
it all happens kind of like at the like in one day or something.
There's not that
I
many
know.
holes.
No, but that's like how their like mating bond like comes about, is like when they knot inside of her. And so like they all knot inside of her over the course of like 12 hours or something, this poor girl. And
Jeez,
then
yeah.
that also means that like she is going to be pregnant. But it's not like a, oh, we're not going to know whose baby this is. No. She becomes pregnant with each of their children.
So like 4
at
once. No.
That sounds like
4
my nightmare.
different
I'm out.
species of shifters
Absolutely not.
at once.
Mm-mm.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Goodbye.
And it was
That can't
like,
even be healthy for your uterus.
well, she's also a shifter. But like
But what kind of shifter is she? again?
she's a phoenix. Sorry, that's totally ruining the whole plot, but it's
Ooh.
fine.
I guess she can.
That's
I guess she can
cool.
rise from the ashes
Yeah,
when
when
she
she
gets destroyed by having.
Right? This was also the first book I read that had Mpreg in it. Yeah. Which I
got
don't
like,
I don't know why.
I can't.
I don't
know.
Mpreg. It's just
fine.
weird.
I got
Yeah.
like,
mean-
I got a few chapters into one and was just like, I can't.
I'm
do
just
it.
really
like,
strange. It's fine. It's fine.
You
Girl,
know,
like,
The
I honestly
description
wish-
of a
It's all fine.
no, the description
wish
of a
it would
leaking
happen.
asshole. I can't.
Yes. But I do wish it would happen in real life, because then maybe we would get some proper maternal,
Maybe.
or
That would be nice.
Paternal.
healthcare, maternal paternal healthcare around here. But it really there were some lubrication issues that were happening.
I can't.
when I read it, and I was like, this just really no.
Eek.
It just gives me out.
Eek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first,
And I.
the first smut I ever read in my entire life
Was
The Legend
Mpreg?
of Zelda fan fiction.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fun fact.
was
You
Zelda
can die with that knowledge
impregnated?
now. No, Link.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately. And like I didn't even know what I was like 11. I didn't know what I was
baby
reading.
Ivy.
Oh no.
Oh no. Okay, that's too young.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I think that would traumatize me. I
It's
mean, I
not
was
that I
already
don't-
traumatized as a full ass adult, so like
Yeah, it's not that I don't like it. I just don't expose myself to it often enough, I guess.
It's just
in the
not
books
for
that I
me.
like to read, it doesn't come up a lot.
Yeah, it's just not for me.
Yeah, I'm totally fine with it. I'm just, the crazier the better. It's just.
I'm usually
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
level, but when it was like, oh, his butthole was so juicy, I was like, and I'm out.
I don't know how I feel about the word juice.
Well, that was my word, but
I didn't like it.
but-
Yeah, there's just like there's something about a self-lubricating butthole that just doesn't do it for me. Like
yeah.
like no.
Yeah.
And mine was like
Yeah.
reindeer shifter too.
Oh,
so
right.
it was like even
Oh.
weirder.
That
Like he's
one.
like, I can't shift and be Rudolph for Christmas because I'm pregnant. Like
Oh.
like you and your damn baby ruined Christmas. He's like, I can't pull a sleigh. I'm pregnant. Like
I can't do Rudolph smut. Can't
explain
do it.
that to Santa.
It's
Dumb
too
got
innocent.
I
knocked
bet
up.
Santa was excited for him.
He was actually.
Congratulations, Rudolph.
Yeah, apparently it was a normal thing to get impregnated.
Why not? See, I do like that, like how MPreg kind of how it gives options for like gay couples to have spring. I
True.
do like that, which is
Yes.
also like why I like girl dick in Omegaverse too, because it like doesn't exclude gay couples from also just like having a
Yeah.
normal time.
That part I am totally fine with.
Yeah.
It's just the
The
mechanics of it. I think that
That's
just
fair.
It's a leaky
Yeah.
asshole.
it's just
that
not
I
for me.
can't
It
do.
wasn't written for me, and that's okay. I'm not saying it shouldn't be written and that it
It's
doesn't
just
have
not
its
your
place.
cup of
It's just
tea.
not. It's not
That's
for
fair.
me, and that's
Yeah.
okay. It's not like I went and gave it like a poor rating,
Right.
You know, like this is terrible. Like the rest of the story was
Yeah.
fine. It was actually really cute and cozy and adorable. It was just those
Just
particular
that
words
part. Not for you.
weren't written for me. I was not the target audience
That's valid.
for that story.
That's valid.
But I read it,
Yeah.
like I gave it a chance, and even though I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like that with regular pregnancy.
Yeah. True.
So,
True.
I am a equal opportunity hater of pregnancy.
Very valid.
What a
In my
great
smut.
way to put it.
Yeah. Doesn't matter who or how. Yeah. Fair.
Don't want to read about it after reading about smut in my smut.
See,
So I guess I gotta go find the crocodile book now.
I got some for you. I found them.
I appreciate that. I do think I'm gonna have to hop
Yeah.
off here.
Well, we will continue this conversation then another week because we still have so many
I
shifters
know.
to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
I gotta
we
catch
should
up.
do a
We
part
should.
2.
Yes, we
Yeah.
will. Yes.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Okay. Well,
All right.
Until then, crocodiles.
until next time.
Crocodiles.
I got you.
We'll see you all next
Bye.
time.
See you later,
Bye.
alligators.
Thank you so much for listening to the Feral Friday podcast. Join us every Friday for unhinged shenanigans, books, games, and more. You can find us on Instagram at Feral Friday Pod. Did you know we have a website? Visit us at www.feralfridaypod.com. Make sure to give us a like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like us to cover a particular book or series, please send us an email at bferal@feralfridaypod.com. Happy reading!
Feel Friday.